Earth 2020. Society is in ruins, and a virus runs rampant among the world's humble citizens. They are lost. In these dark times, three wayward nerds cross paths at the House of India and realize they are destined to be friends. And so they did. This is their story. The story of The Side Quest.
Welcome back to another episode of the Side Quest podcast. My name's Matt.
And I'm BJ.
We're here to warm your toasty buns on this cold winter afternoon. So sit down and enjoy. Luke's right now stuck off the side of the road and asking for our help, so we've silenced our phones not to disturb you viewers.
Yeah, and we specifically told Lee and Joey and everyone else that you've seen on this camera not to help him.
Well, I want to jump right into it. We've been watching Squid Games.
Yep, this is your first time watching it.
And my first time watching it, I thought that would definitely surprise you.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though it's hard, especially on a show like that, not to
it's impossible to not get spoiled.
And not know, like, I would say clips alone, not know 50% of what happens.
100%.
And so, there's a lot that it's like, oh, I know most of the games, I just don't know the order of stuff, and I've seen a lot of stuff. I go, oh, that I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And but it is very good, and it's really interesting how there's been a lot of, maybe not a lot, but recently a lot of Korean stuff that's taken over and surprised Americans.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there was what was it? Not Paranoia. What was it? Parasite, and then this, and now and K-pop. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that's taken over America, and I can see why. I mean, it's fun. This show, it's a game of elimination of people. What I wish though, and this is kind of is that they didn't have a protagonist.
Yeah,
I wish
that would be nice.
That's what and as much as I hated it from Game of Thrones, I wish it was that thing where anybody that could die, and you had characters that you loved and hated, and
I would vastly prefer that.
And that you didn't know who was going to win, and it came out weekly, and you just didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah, because then every season would be a new group of people that you could root for.
Yes, exactly. And then and there's just a bunch of other stuff. And then the side story, having like the side story of like, oh, that's good B plot.
Mm-hmm.
But A plot being you really don't know who's going to survive. And that is kind of what I wish, because it's very obvious that this person is going to survive. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people are like, I don't know if he really is, but it's clear that he is going to survive. I mean, especially with all the introduction that we got to him as a character.
Yeah, the whole first couple episodes is just Gi-hoon.
Yes. And so that's where I was like, I wish it was a little bit different and not so, like, we know the people who are going to end up to the end because they're all just main characters. But like, if they selected, I mean, I'd be fine if it was still like 7 people that we got like focus on, but leaving it ambiguous to who could win would be way more interesting to me. I
agree. And if they ever do like a prequel series or something, because Netflix will, it's too successful for them to stop after his vision of 3
they have
seasons.
What, like 2 or 3 cash cows? Stranger Things,
and that's about to end.
Yeah. This, what's another big net? Oh, Arcane.
They really want Witcher to be that, but they keep fucking all the Witcher fans in the face. So.
Yeah, it's true. So that, yeah, we've been watching that, and it's interesting, it's enjoyable. But
for viewer context, we stopped in the middle of the marble game to do some stuff and record.
That was good. I thought that one how they switched it up and made everyone think that they had to work together with the teammate, not eliminate the teammate,
Yeah.
is very clever. And sad, especially when the husband and wife are like, "Oh no!"
I think the game that they play after this one is by far my favorite, though. The glass
That's the one where you have
panels.
to jump into the different holes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. But then there's one more game that is the Squid Game, and that can only have one winner.
Yes, I think so, if I remember correctly. Because I don't really remember how many people live on the glass game, but I think it does go from that to the Squid Game.
I would also like, I mean, I don't know if they're doing this in season 2, because season 2's like coming out, or is it completely out now?
I think it's all out, or they did first half, because they've been doing that a lot recently with their
Okay.
big stuff.
Well, I'm just I'd be very curious to be like, to get more insight into the management of it. Be like, oh fuck, we're like way too many people survive the first couple games. Like, how do we cull the herd? And they're like, oh wow, they're not killing each other. Fuck, what do? We have to cull the herd. And then them like trying to figure stuff out and all that.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the most interesting part of season 2, is because he's back in it and he knows how it's been done.
Yeah.
So him warning other players is definitely going to cause some shakeups.
Yeah. But then you said, though, I mean, spoilers, that
Well, this has been all over TikTok. Everyone has been spoiled on this, and it's
Okay.
the only thing that I've really been spoiled
is the
on too.
Dalgona.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, everybody pick triangle. It's the easiest one. And then he opens the tin, and it's just like a billion triangles, like lined up in the shape of another triangle.
Immediately starts to lick.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
RJ. May the force be with RJ. King. And so I've been playing a lot of Helldivers again.
I've been thinking about reinstalling.
It's too much fun. I found my favorite thing.
Yeah,
Yes, and it's just I only have turrets. That's all I do.
I love
And
placing turrets.
I'm just throwing it there, and they just clear out entire waves, and I'm just like, well, I didn't have to do anything. But then it works well with like other players that can be more objective based, and I'm just there like,
Yeah, you have one guy be the tower defense, and the other guy run around and do all the
yeah,
things.
and so it works out really well. But I end up with like 500 kills on average per like level, and it's so much fun. It
Hell
is
yeah.
so much fun. The new faction, the Illuminate, are pretty cool because all the maps that you play are like half of the map is a city, and so you're like,
I do like that.
and then the Illuminate, what they do is they like take people and then they turn them into zombies essentially. So you have like hordes of people, and that's really fun with the turrets. And then they have like walkers, and then some flying guys, and some guys with shields. And so it all feels now very fun. But I'm playing on like the hardest difficulty, which is now the one they added because it only went up to 9. And I think that was always the roadmap, is they were going to get people used to it, and then they were like,
And then drop the real shit.
the 10, yeah, number 10, Super Hell Dive. And I mean, who knows, they might add like Ultra, level 11, who knows.
Yeah.
But I think that was always the roadmap, to end on 10, and that's what I've been playing, and it's been a good time. Out of nowhere, Ezra started playing Space Marine 2, and I was like, what? This is odd. So I hopped back in there for like one operations, which was fun. But it was in the middle of when I was so I got a pit boss, a smoker for Christmas from my wife, and I've been using it as much as I could, and I made some pulled pork.
It was fire.
Insane.
The ribs were fire.
Like, all week, and today ribs was the first thing I did, and tonight I'm doing a whole smoked chicken, and then I'm also just gonna be putting in the baked potatoes in there as well,
That's a good idea.
and should be pretty simple.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I haven't really been playing much. I've been doing a little bit of Binding of Isaac because it was on sale for Christmas for like $2. So I got that, and then we played a little bit of Marvel Rivals online the other day, and it was you and me and then 2 other guys from Discord.
Yeah. So Christian and Roman.
Yeah.
And that was very fun because I think like I'm a decent healer, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like
We were killing it on the heels.
we were doing really good, and then out of nowhere, BJ at the end when we were getting totally fucked switched to Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And Roman out of nowhere was like, "Who the fuck is Scarlet? Who's this dog shit piece of ass, Scarlet Witch?" And I was like, and I immediately was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!"
But
whoa,
there had been a Scarlet Witch in the match already that switched to tank, and I was like, okay, well we can't have like, or I think they went to heal.
They did something else.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well now the dynamic is off. I need to go damage to balance it out.
Yeah.
And then that happened, and I was like, all right, I'll fucking switch, I guess.
Yeah, and then I was like, that was BJ. He's been Jeff the whole time healing us, and he was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I was like, "Don't you talk to my friend like that." But yeah, been playing so much Marvel Rivals. Been playing so many games lately, including Balatro, which is fun. I just think now that I'm gonna be way more addicted to, what's the other card game that we haven't played yet?
Crypt.
No, it's Inscription.
Inscription, yes. Crypt
Yes.
is in there.
Yes, it is. Inscription. Yes. Which sounds really fun because they're both roguelikes.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is about like damage and teams instead of this, which is just like all math based, which is like, oh, this one you get a multiplier instead of a plus. And you're like, oh, wait, the multiplier actually would be bigger instead of a plus 15
Mm-hmm.
because even though it's a 0.5 multiplier, that still is more because it multiplies the total. And you're like, ah! But then I saw like one of Casey's friends on Discord. His name's Pashoy, and he's like beaten like 7 decks. Like there's a point where you can beat the game, like you win, and then you move on to another deck, which essentially is like you either have like a buff or a debuff in that deck. And so it's like one of them's like -1 hand size. One of the very first decks you get is just +1 hand size, which means you have X amount of hands to win that round, and it just adds another chance for you in that round to win. And then there's one that I've been doing, which is essentially it's like if you beat the round as like whatever discards you have left and hands you have left in that round, you get money per that. So it just helps me buy more like special cards to strengthen my deck, and I've been doing that.
Close that door because I know that shit's coming straight in here.
Yeah, that's right. And so I've been playing Balatro, and it's very fun, and I could see it's an easy. I mean, as much as I just said it was not easy, it is indeed something that is an easy thing just to like kind of waste your time at. And it's not too committed. You're not in a game where you're like getting fucked over by a team.
Yeah, or locked in, can't pause kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's definitely has a different vibe that I have been appreciating lately.
Well, that's kind of why I went back to Binding of Isaac, because it's a small little roguelike that I can just do a couple runs in and just be done.
Out of all the roguelikes you've played, what do you think are like maybe your top 3?
Hades, obviously.
Oh yeah, yes, 100%.
Hades is up there. Skull the Hero Slayer is a good one. That one is kind of like a platformer kind of thing.
What's that one that's the card game roguelike that Joey really likes?
I vaguely know what you're talking about. Joey's into some weird games.
It was the one that he was like, just download it on your computer. You know what? I'll download it for you.
I don't remember.
Joey will tell us.
Yeah. But I'd put Binding of Isaac in there too, because it's been.
Did you ever play Enter the Gungeon?
No.
I've heard good things about it. Just never really got into it because it's also the like bullet hell kind of shit.
See, I'm not very good at those.
Neither have I.
I feel like I'll list towards hitting a target.
Vampire Survivors is roguelike.
That's true. Yeah.
Right?
I fuck with that one pretty hard. I've said it before and I'll say it again.
You start over and you have to build a new kit kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's always different items that spawn.
Yeah.
But the thing with Vampire Survivors is it's like you start playing that game and then you black out for 8 hours and then you're like, oh, fuck.
That one Joey always be playing because even like last time I saw him, I go, what have you been playing? He's like, I'm still playing Vampire Survivors.
It's to the point where it's like I'm scared to open it because I'll like shirk all my responsibilities to just continue with that.
Yeah, very fun.
I haven't played Blasphemous, but I've heard that one is pretty fire.
Okay.
And Dead Cells apparently is good.
Because didn't like the beta for Hades 2 come out?
Yeah, it's still somehow in beta, but you have to pay, and it's like you download the game.
Yeah, because I keep on seeing it like available to get.
I think they call it early access, but like, I think the whole thing with it is like they just haven't added all the gods and boons. So like you can go through the story for the most part.
Rap at the door.
Rapping at my chamber door.
Of rapping.
'Twas a Roomba, nevermore.
Parappa the Rapper? Never played those games.
The only thing I know about Parappa the Rapper is based on the Chris Chan Parappa the Rapper contest.
Speaking of Chris Chan, we should talk about this. So we went and saw. Oh, this is a good thing to hit on. We saw Sonic 3,
New Year's Day.
New Year's Day, so we can add that to the list of the movies you've seen together. And so it was the second time for Luke, right? The second time for you.
Yeah, we went to see it like 2 days before Christmas Eve or something like that.
And so it was, the first. And Lee was there because he came to New Year's, and
It was, we recorded the last podcast and then we partied, and then the next day we woke up and went to see Sonic.
yeah, I woke up BJ and I was like, hey, we're gonna go see Sonic. It's matinee. It's $9.
I was like, okay.
And so we went and saw it, and it was great. So good, very fun. Probably the most fun out of maybe even the best one.
I agree. And it's like, if you played Sonic Adventure 2, there's things to get excited about, because
Yeah.
you did definitely get excited during
Yeah.
that last fight.
Yes, yeah, and the Akira slide, and
Yeah.
and all, yeah, hearing all of the songs from Sonic Adventure 2 was great. I will say, and this is mostly attributed to another show we watched, but I'm sad that there wasn't more of Donut Lord.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like him now more as a person and want more of him. Not just, even though I don't think the characters, clearly it's not that impactful because he didn't have to be in the story.
Yeah.
But I think he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's a good, like, grounding point for the weird shit.
Yeah,
like,
but then it's always like, he says one thing, like, he, like Sonic always thinks like, oh, what does he always say? Oh, believe in yourself. You need friends and family. And he just thinks about it, and then he's like, you're right. And then, but he's not there.
yeah. I mean, he's a good, like, mentor character.
Yeah.
And I really like the wife too, Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
In the Knuckles show, she's really fun because Knuckles is like trying to kill all the contractors that are working on the house. She's like, Knuckles, stop!
And so it was really good though. Full standing ovation for Dr. Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik.
Yeah.
As Jim Carrey meta calls out, it's almost like we're being played by the same actor. That's wild that line was put in.
Yeah,
It almost feels like it's something that he just said, because how Jim Carrey works is he's just
off the cuff.
Yes, for like, he gets the gist of what happens in the scene, and then it's all improv, and then the director is in like the editing booth and just like
He's
selects,
like, keep that.
just selects whichever one's takes he wants.
Yeah.
Because that felt really off the cuff and very funny, and yeah,
The dance scene was hilarious.
amazing. It was quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing that song again from Need for Speed, I was like, oh my god, yes. And yeah, very good. But then, so in that, there's the end scene. Spoilers. Metal Sonic shows up.
Yep.
And Lee the whole time is like very confused as to what's happening. He was like, while we were like joking and laughing about stuff, he asked Luke, like, is like the gun and the motorcycle like a thing that Shadow does? He goes, oh yeah, that's very,
That's the Shadow thing.
yeah,
Gun and motorcycle.
yeah, exactly. And so later, like 2-3 days ago, BJ sends us a meme in our group chat. And at the end of it, where he goes like, who are you? And then it's a picture of Chris Chan and it says Christopher Weston Chandler. And we're all like laughing. And then Lee didn't respond to that group chat. But in Discord, he was like, Matt, who's Christopher Weston Chandler? And I went, oh my God. And so I pulled up the
The doc.
The doc, and we started watching like 25 minutes into it, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is this? This is so sad." And
I can't believe none of them have
and so
heard of
then
it.
Cody out of nowhere, we were talking about Sonichu, because I had to give like some brief overviews of what, and I go like, so like he created this Sonichu necklace and then he broke it and he shoved it up his ass and he goes, and he wrote a bunch of Sonichu, like really graphic fan fiction. Well, it wasn't visually graphic, it was all like,
This is weirdly sexual.
yes, weirdly like written very, very graphic, as to, oh yeah, I'm just super horny and my penis is hard.
Yeah, the later episodes get really weird because then he starts to fuck all the Sonichus.
Exactly, yeah.
Canonically.
And so, and then Cody goes, he's the creator of Sonichu, and I was like, yes, and then I just brought up like a best of clip and all the things like him like jumping into frame in blackface. And there was one
Love that one.
where he had like the Indian costume or Native American costume, and he goes, "How I'm Chief Wananobo of the Cherokee," and I was dying. And Lee like kept on laughing, but he was like, "I'm laughing to hide the pain." I was like, I had to stop watching like 20 episodes in because of how horrible his life is. And then I go, but you know, don't feel too bad, because he
does it to himself. At the end of the day,
because in the end he just got out of prison for assaulting his mom. I won't say it. I don't know. You know.
wow, great.
Wow, great. And they're like, no, and I go, yeah. And there's that video that he does where it's like, all right, mom, say hi to Rick, and she's like, hi, hello, hi Rick, and he says, all right, say like and subscribe. Okay. He says, why won't you say it? Oh, what? Say like and subscribe.
There's like 20 other videos of him doing that shit to his
so
mom.
awful when she's like on the brink of.
Yeah, just basically not even there anymore.
Yeah, it's so bad. And I watched that going like, yeah. And so I showed them, and all of them were like, everyone in Discord was like, this is the weirdest thing. And I go,
dude, the worst.
He really might be the most documented person. I mean, like, because where was he posting all of the videos that he made? Like, was it on like some wiki or forum?
He started posting them on, the video started on YouTube, but he started posting his comics and everything on, he made like his own website in computer class in high school. And it was like, Quick Chan's Pokesite or something.
Remember when it got hacked?
Yeah, every time he makes a website, it gets hacked minimum twice a month. And it's just because he sets the password to be like Sonichu every single time, and everyone always guesses it. That's why he got his fucking PSN stolen and had to do all that stuff with his booty hole.
Yeah.
But there's
I remember the other Chris Chan. He's like, I'm the real Chris Chan.
Oh yeah, Liquid Chris. Funniest internet character of all time.
I remember when they were gonna do the
sing challenge.
Yeah, the karaoke off.
Yeah.
Holy moly! And he's like, he won't even do the sing off. He's a coward. Chris wouldn't see. Real Chris would do the sing off.
Yeah, and then he does it and then beats him at his own competition because even the judges that Chris has picked voted for the fake guy, which was so
and they're
fucking
like, wow,
funny.
I guess you're not the real Chris anymore. And he's like, no.
So many public crash out videos of him just jumping up and down.
After he did best of, there was just rage compilation. And I was like, we'll get to that another day.
Get all the information about my house off the internet.
There's one video where he was like, you know, people keep sending me stuff for what's Felix Schellberg, aka PewDiePie. He does not live at 427 Hollow Drive Lane.
He just asked for more in the...
Oh, so funny.
He's just no helping him.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
He says, I'm not PewDiePie. Stop sending stuff, and then just reads out his whole address. So
it's hilarious. The saddest one he ever made was he like wrote a script for his mom to read, and he just turns on the camera and she's like, hello, my name is Barbara Chandler and we need money to stay in our house. And it's like, god damn.
Oh yeah, buy merch. Yeah, she said buy merch from the Etsy so we can pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really fucking sad and dark.
Yeah. There's one that he read that was like, I don't know why he this guy was like threatening to kill other people. And he's like, it's your like, don't do it. Don't do it, Brian. You don't do it. And I'm sorry if I made you do it, but
But on the other hand, there's that video where Clyde Cash's brother supposedly killed himself.
yes.
And then Chris Chan is like, I guess I killed somebody. I have so much power.
I forgot Clyde Cash. Who's the other guy? In the very beginning, it started with like Blue.
Oh, Blue Spike. That's the one that makes him shove the medallion up his ass and pretends to be Julie without changing his voice at all.
Oh my gosh, is that the one that that she was like living in a foreign country that was in like like they had like some sort of like
Well, it started out
war?
as being like she was just in an online relationship with Chris, and then they made this whole thing where trolls had kidnapped her and were keeping her in Chicago in this house, and Chris like drives across the states to get to this house, and it's just abandoned, and he asked the lady across the street like, oh yeah, is Julie here? And she's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. That house has been abandoned for years. And then he just had to drive back. And then Blue Spike was recording all these calls with him where they would have like weird phone sex. But like Blue Spike never broke or made any jokes about it. So it was like maybe he was kind of into it.
Yeah.
It was just...
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's so awful. We laugh, but it is just like laugh to hide the pain.
The funniest thing that ever happened to him was being cucked by the Pickle Man, though.
Was that the mall one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he goes on a date with a girl and a guy with a pickle suit comes out of like
Isn't
LLB.
it just a guy holding a pickle?
No, it's a guy in
a
like one of
pickle
those.
suit. And he goes up to her and she's like, oh my gosh, she's so cute.
He's like, hey, what are you doing later? And Chris is like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know who I am? And he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, do you want to go see Watchmen? And she's like, yeah, I'd love that. And then Chris is like, but you have to go, right? She's like, no, like I'm gonna go see this movie with this guy. And he's like, what? So for a long time after that, he would be like, the man in the pickle suit tricked me again.
Oh my gosh.
So next week on the Side Quest podcast, we're gonna have special guest Christopher Weston Chandler.
So, shout out to a thing that both BJ and I love. What's happening this past week, or this week, AGDQ.
Oh yeah,
Love, awesome, GameStone Quick, 2025. Last night we did miss the Yakuza speedrun, but
we should watch
we should watch it because they're so good about just putting it up like right after the stream ends.
Yeah.
And well, how that came up was we were watching Chris Chan, and I was like, recently he was spotted at some sort of convention. Maybe it was Games Done Quick or something. And Lee was like, oh my God, it's today. It was a convention, right? Like some like
yeah,
a brony convention or something.
pretty much anywhere Chris goes, there's gonna be a picture.
Yeah.
But they do go to a lot of conventions and a lot of like brony ones specifically, which I don't know why they exist anymore. Show's been over for like 10 years.
Yeah, well, remember the video I showed you of that one hotel that hosted a brony convention and like the horror stories of like how they left it?
No, but that makes sense. They don't have MTech in the Nashville Convention Center anymore because they fucked up the hotel that was attached to it.
Remember? Because now every year at MTech they do like the cleanest room award.
Yeah, which is a sad thing.
A sad thing. I don't even know what the prize is, but
The prize is like you get to come back, I guess.
yeah, maybe like free tickets.
That would
for
make
the
sense.
Next year or something. Yeah, absolutely wild. Yeah, that's just about it. We got, I mean, coming out. We watched.
We just rewatched season 1.
Severance. Season 2's so good. So the first time I watched it, I'm pretty sure I've said this, but I'll recap. The first time I watched Severance, I half watched it because I watched the first episode and I was like, this gives me too much trauma. This is like too much for me. And then like Kevin and Carmen watched it, and I would like walk in, I'd be like,
You do the dad thing.
oh, this is pretty interesting. Oh, who's that? Ooh, what's happening? This is pretty interesting. And I'd walk away, and then I'd hear them like screaming about something, and I'd go like, oh, what just happened? They roll back a little bit, and I'd sit and watch for 15 minutes, and I'd go back away. And then the last 2 episodes, I like sat and watched them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
But I also was like, I'm not about to just like, Carmen wouldn't want to rewatch it. Or maybe she would. I just wasn't going to make her like the day,
yeah,
the
when
week
when they're
after.
done,
Yeah,
the
to
day
go
of.
like, hey, let's rewatch it. And so I was like, okay, well, I know the basic premise and I know the big endings. And so I told BJ he binged it like
in a night.
in a night.
Because I was like, hey, can you put Apple TV on my TV so I can just watch it? And then you got up for work the next day, and I was like, that's the best show ever made.
So we rewatched it, and there were so many things that I didn't see, and I was like, I had no recollection this happened. This is so good. And there's all these little details, and we have all of our little theories about season 2 and things we're curious about. But I'm really glad we did, because that'll be really
It's nice to have it fresh in the memory.
Exactly. And so that's coming out. We got Sakamoto Days coming out soon.
It's gonna be good. I don't know if Dan to Dan is done for the season, but I think it might be.
I think it might be too. I haven't seen anything new on Netflix about it.
Me either.
Yeah, it's probably done with the season. Still nothing from My Hero, which is, at this point, it's outrageous.
Yeah, I think that they just decided like, oh, we're not gonna fit it all and make another season like halfway through this one.
Yeah, maybe. I just like the fact that we're caught up. I thought they were gonna simul drop, which they still might.
Yeah.
I think it would be the smart thing to do.
I think they might just be holding until the movie is out.
That makes sense, but hasn't the movie already been released in Japan?
In Japan, yeah, but
Okay.
things could be different here.
I mean, they clearly are. So, because I'd go to the theater to see it.
Absolutely, the first 3 were in theaters. I don't know why they shirk this one.
Yeah, especially for like the end kind of stuff. And we always know that they pop off on movies.
Yeah, that last one was incredible.
It was, but it was clear that they blew the budget in that last sequence,
Yeah,
which I'm fine with.
and the chase at the beginning was pretty dope too.
Oh yeah.
But
And then all of a sudden he has Black Whip, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? He doesn't
Yeah.
even have it in the anime yet." We were caught up, and he was like, "Yeah." Even though I'm pretty sure that in the subbed, they had caught up to when he got Black Whip, but in the American, by the time that movie came out, they hadn't gotten to him getting Black Whip. So all of a sudden he has the new, and I was like,
yeah, it was
What?
basically a movie drop for the manga readers, which was interesting.
yeah. And so that was wild. But
They also
it was,
got a trailer for Vigilantes coming out. The spinoff.
what's the spinoff?
It's a prequel technically, but it's about this kid that was like going to get into UA, but he missed the exam
I have no clue
because
about
he
this.
was saving someone,
Oh.
and they wouldn't let him retake it, even though I think missing the exam to save someone should get you an automatic entry.
Yeah.
He like just basically
I thought you were gonna say it was about the Vigilante arc.
no, that's what I thought it was when it was coming out, and I was really happy about it. But I'm really happy with what I have. The whole manga in there. It's amazing. But they do a lot of focus on Fat Gum.
Okay.
There's a lot of All Might in there, like how he met the police chief and all that stuff. He has a pretty good relationship with Aizawa, because Aizawa is kind of like a bleeding heart, like, oh, you don't think you could be a hero? Well, I'll be your new dad now and teach you how. So his whole thing is like, he's not licensed and he has to train and everything, but he meets this insane man on the street with no powers that just beats the fuck out of super criminals with knuckle dusters and a trench coat.
Hell yeah.
And he's like, all right, you can train me.
He's just Batman at this point.
He really is. He's got a cowl even. But yeah, it's a really fun spin-off of the show that expands the universe, and Tenya's brother is a really big part of it before he gets
yeah, the first, or not the first, at the time he would have been, what's his name?
Ingenium.
Ingenium, the current Ingenium.
Yeah, they become like running buddies.
Until what's his name?
Stain.
Stain.
You also see Stain's origin in Vigilantes. That's like the third arc.
Wow. That is pretty dope. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for Sakamoto. Have we heard anything about Spy Family? When that's going to come back?
I think Luke said something about they were working on it.
They better be.
I mean, the movie was great.
And I think it did well.
Yeah. So it should be being produced, but you know how anime companies go.
I'm just laughing about how how like out of body, or like, you know, like when we looked at each other, it was one of the strangest, like it
was an instant. We thought the same thing at the same exact time.
And we both looked like it was one of those things where all of a sudden our
faces hadn't had time to react.
Our
but
our brains combined and meshed, and we were in two places. We were both sitting, you know, in two places, but we were in one mind space at the same time. We were all of a sudden we were like, I could, like, as I was turning, I could see you start to turn, and then we went, Jinro. So good.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments at a movie theater of all time.
Incredible. I mean, I don't even think we have a release date for new Kaiju.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a while.
You know, we are getting this year new One Punch Man.
Oh yeah,
that's 2025.
Can't wait for that. The Chainsaw Man movie should be coming out.
Yes. So there's a lot of stuff to be looking forward to there. Yeah, the Golden Globes just happened. Apparently Shogun won for something. For something. And Nikki Glazer, she did a really good job at her doing like the stand up in between bits. Mm-hmm. It was very good.
Nothing will ever be funnier to me from Amy Schumer than right after the Chris Rock slap. Where she was like, hey, it feels like the vibe in here has changed. Did something happen while I was off stage? That was so fucking funny.
The only time she's ever been funny. Mm-hmm. And it was insanely funny. I mean, I think the best thing that ever happened at an award show was, what's his name? Who called out everybody? The British comedian?
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking, from The Office.
Yes, the British Office.
Yeah.
Who then shows up in The Office.
Yeah, who cameos in the Office cinematic universe.
Yeah. Ricky Gervais.
Yes, Gervais.
Gervais.
Ricky Javicki.
Sticky Kamiki. Ricky Gervais.
I saw a really
funny
and strange clip of Vin Diesel going up to accept an award.
And he said, "Hey Dwayne."
Hey Dwayne. That was so strange.
But yeah, Ricky Gervais, when he comes up and just, because everyone would be like, we need to do more about this and fuck all of this, and he's like, don't, like, nobody here has like the ability to tell people what to do. We live in a completely different universe. Fuck you if you think that you're better than everybody. Like, you know nothing about the real world.
I fuck with that hard.
And then he calls out like the movie with two popes, and he's like, oh, finally, you know, something about touching kid. It was absolutely wild. He's like, I'm never going to do this again. I can't believe they asked me to do this for a third time. I don't care. The biggest fuck y'all, I quit.
What's his name? Sean Penn? Sean Bean?
Which one?
The one from Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz.
The main guy.
Sean Bean is Samwise. Sean Penn is Boromir. And Sean Astin is Sam. So it might be Sean Penn. No, Sean Penn's the other actor. That's the that plays, remember the guy in The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, who's the guy in the wilderness? That's Sean Penn.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead Sean.
Shaun of the Dead Sean. Did you see that video that he made for like Christmas and New Year's?
No, but I'm vaguely. It feels like I've heard of this.
He starts at the house.
Oh yes, and he walks through the same neighborhood.
Yeah, he does the same walk to the market.
The same walk. Yes, very good.
Yeah, awesome.
I mean, I don't know if there's any, because the only big next thing of movies that I'm kind of excited for from directors I like is Christopher Nolan's doing a movie about like police helicopter pilots that like, you know, track people and do the police helicopter stuff. And I think it might be in like LA, and it's Tom Holland and somebody else. And thankfully it's not Timothy Chalamet, but it's Tom Holland, and I'm forgetting the other actor. But I love Christopher Nolan movies. I mean, Tenet and Inception, which you've never seen, Interstellar, which you've never seen, Dark Knight, though.
Dark Knight, I have seen many times.
Yes, great movies.
And I was part of the marketing campaign for, technically.
What?
Yeah, I did a photo shoot when the first one was coming out. And it was in some magazine to promote it. But I was part of the Two-Face gang.
Yes, you told me this. Yeah. And you were one of the other Two-Faces, like, in the...
Yeah, so it was like me and two other guys. And it's like our hats were varying sizes so that we'd all even out to be the same height. So I was a kid and I was really short. So I had this really tall fucking hat.
Yeah.
The next guy was a teenager who had like a medium hat. And then the last guy was an adult with like a really small bowler. So it like lined up across the top. Really cool.
But he's putting out a movie. But I mean, the last Edgar Wright movie that I knew that came out that I loved was Baby Driver.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which I need to rewatch.
I want another Edgar Wright movie. Because then before that, I mean, he's done a couple others that I am not so familiar with, but like all the ones from the Shaun of the Dead universe. So we have Hot Fuzz.
He did Scott Pilgrim, didn't he?
Oh yes, Scott Pilgrim, Shaun of the Dead, and then there's the one where it's the alien one where it's like called Todd.
Oh yeah, where it's like basically just the premise of American Dad.
Yes. Yeah, and they just find this alien that's like pretty chill.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, which was like the last one in that cinematic universe of Shaun of the Dead, was I think it's called the end of the world, which is where like this guy, they're all adults and they try to like do one last bar hop, and then all of a sudden it turns out the whole town is like controlled by aliens.
Yeah,
very good. People didn't like it, but I loved it for being an Edgar Wright fan and it being very in universe where you had all these actors from other stuff, and so it's one of those things where you see an actor on screen, you're like, oh, it's this person.
Yeah.
And so it's just all callbacks, even though people were like, oh, it wasn't as funny, and I was like, it's still so clever. And so yeah, I was trying to think about what we could watch, because I mean I'd be okay to watch more Squid Games tonight, but I also just thought of putting on like a movie that
yeah, that'd be cool seeing a movie
again. So who knows, but yeah, we're supposed to be getting like, I mean, hopefully we get like 6 fucking inches.
That would be wild.
It would be wild. I think though it's like 2 to 4 on Friday, so hopefully we get a big old snow out, and that would be.
That would be dope. The only problem is I have to work Friday and Saturday. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to be definitely Friday. I don't think I'm going to be working. Because I know Nick was like, I'm not coming in on Friday. And I was like, okay, well, you're not coming in. I'm not coming in.
Mm-hmm.
We got to stick to it. We got to. Oh, I can't even get out of my driveway.
Well, the nice thing is, if I do have to work, then I could just get a room for free.
That's true.
And not have to die.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially since at night. I mean, because you've done it before where you just leave and you get home at like 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
So you at least will be able to be out when the sun's, because like once the sun comes out, because last night there was on I-40 and 65
bad,
a bunch of wrecks. Like they said on the news that it was going to be closed for an undetermined amount of time, and I was like, that'd be crazy if I left this morning and it was still closed.
Yeah, that would fucking suck.
I mean, that could be the case if it was like a big rig that flipped, or something like that. But I'm guessing it was just like a pileup of cars.
That's what I think it was. At least the one on like 65, I think, was like 8 cars to start with.
Yeah. But I mean, because I mean, once it gets dark and any sort of wetness, it just ices up immediately. And but today, we had talked. Me and Nick were like, "Hey, let's just like wait a little bit and leave." And then at like 7 a.m, they were like, "Hey, it looks perfectly fine." And I got out there and I was like, "It just looks completely normal." There's just a couple little dustings of snow in some places, but in other places it'd be getting wild. Like I hear Kentucky is completely fucked.
That's what I've heard.
And I've also heard that Houston's getting power outages already.
God damn, the power grid in Texas is insane.
It's so awful. It's so bad. People literally like 2 years ago when the big one happened, people died.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't heat their homes. But that's also a crazy thing to me. Like, I mean, I'm sure it was all like a bunch of old people.
Yeah.
But to me, it'd be like, if I was freezing to death, I'd get in my car, I'd call somebody and be like, "Can I just sleep on your couch?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple ways to escape that.
And very easy. Like if you have friends at all, or I don't know, get a hotel room.
Yeah.
At a Motel 6 for $68.
Do what you need to do. Go out and buy a fucking generator.
Yeah.
Get you some electric heaters. Do something.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there and freeze until you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're great here. We're great. Like it's never. And last night, I was warm. I was warm as heck. You did. You turned off your space heater.
I was a fool.
You just gotta set it on like the auto temperature one, but just set it low.
Yeah.
Because it'll just cook any room that you put in. These rooms are small enough to where it's just like being on for an hour. You're like, all right, it's kind of hot.
Yeah. Slow roasting my ass.
Yeah, I literally set ours to like 59, and like I'll hear it like turn on, and then once it got the room, like because it's on the floor, so it's very different from even like a foot above the floor is very different. Like when I got up this morning, I was like, I'm hot.
Yeah.
I'm almost uncomfortably hot.
I usually go 75 on mine, but I think I'm going to just try to crank it down lower than that.
Dude, yeah, try 65. I know you'll be okay with that.
Yeah, because waking up after that thing's been on all night, I feel like I've been slow roasted.
You feel like that. I feel like
I'm on
pork butt on my pit boss.
I'm on the fucking gas station hot dog roller.
There's some movie I saw where they were like, he was like, "Oh, like how much are hot dogs?" And I was like, "Legally, after 12 hours, we can't call them hot dogs. They're wizard fingers now." And I was like, "That's really, really funny." He's like, "How much for the wizard fingers?" 50 cents.
I will say my most enjoyable hot dog experience, I think, was on the car ride up to the cabin when we stopped at that truck stop.
Oh,
and we'd already been in the car for like 3.5 hours. It was like 1 a.m. or some shit like that, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna get some fucking hot dogs and smother them bitches. It was an awful thing for my health, I'm sure, but it tasted so fucking good in the moment.
That is true. How like me, who I'm not saying I'm like, I'm not a person that goes and eats at fancy restaurants, but like I'm a good enough cook to where I feel like I could appreciate good food, and I like eating good food, or that's well cooked. That's what I'll say. Well cooked food, seasoned and yummy, not dried, good food. But then, like you'll be in a circumstance where mentally you could eat something that you normally would not enjoy that much, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
So the first time
there have been nights where a McDonald's burger tastes like fucking black caviar.
Yeah. So the first time I ever experienced that was, so my dad and we hiked a section of so my dad, like right out of high school, him and a buddy hiked the John Muir Trail, which is
this the same story with the snake?
Yes. So my dad and a buddy right out of high school hiked the John Muir Trail, and they did the whole thing, and my dad was like a champ. His buddy, on the other hand, was like missing his girlfriend and was like, "I'm gonna quit." And my dad was like, "Don't be a pussy. We gotta keep doing it." And they did it, which is like hundreds of miles of hiking, and he did it. And I think that is just an incredible life achievement to have conquered something like that. So he was like, "I want to do a little section, we'll do a 3-day hiking trip with my son." So we did a section of it. We stopped. We started out of Mammoth, which is a a ski resort town in California that's a part of the Sierra Nevadas, which is on the John Muir Trail. And so we get hiking. We go the whole time. This is when like I had my headgear because I had the overbite and good old overbite and so my parents would be like, anytime I wasn't doing something, I'd have headgear on. And there's so many family. I was another tangent looking through old pictures of me, and I found the years like a Christmas where I had the headgear because it was just a family party and my parents and I had the headgear on, and I knew it because I never chose to wear it. My parents would be like,
of course,
you're not doing nothing right now. Get your teeth in check. Get those.
Gotta get my hands on those.
Yeah.
Nancy, hit me up, please.
And so, it was just a Christmas, like with the family it was my blood family. So it was, the lesser Christmas.
Right.
And so I had my headgear on. And so while we were hiking, I had the headgear on. And then, we were hiking, and then my dad, like, there was a couple of things that I very clearly remember about this, which was very interestingly transformative, which was like one of them. My dad, we were at this overlook, and my dad started like peeing off the cliff, and I was like, why are you doing that? And he's like, Matt, you'll never have a better feeling than the wind on your balls. And I was like, that's a weird thing to say, Dad. And then he's like, just come take a piss with me. And I did it, and I was like, this is like 100%, this is amazing. And that's, and then Carmen asked why I'm always peeing outside, and like there's no better feeling.
Yeah, you gotta do it.
Yeah,
have a mental
and
reset.
so like it was very interesting though. There was like, because like how do you like it's not. I don't think of it as perverted. My dad didn't like grab my wiener and hold it.
He wasn't
for me.
like, what if it got a little hard, man?
No, it was. But it's one of those things that like me thinking about me being a dad. It's like, or just about parenting in general. It's like, how do you teach those like weird things to your kids? And it's moments like that where it's just like, it comes up naturally, and it's something that like, it definitely is one of those things where it's like a man just teaches another man about being a dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know when the next time I would have learned that or had the chance to try that out. And it was just something like that. And I clearly remember it was like, that was to me, very cool of my dad just being a bro, being like, just pull your balls out and pee. it's like,
just your balls though.
Yeah. Just your balls out. And then the other thing, so then he's like, all right, we're gonna set up camp by the riverbed. And I was like, okay, well, it's way down there in the valley. And he's like, we'll carve a path. And we're going down, and there's all these like thorny vines and trees, and I'm getting cut up, and I'm like, and they're getting caught on my headgear, and I was like,
that sucks.
And so we finally get down there, and we set up camp right next to the river, and my dad starts going fishing, and he catches like 3 fish, which to me already, I don't until right now, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. 3 fish in a trip.
Yeah.
We didn't catch a single goddamn thing between the 4 of us in California.
My dad, he got 3 trout. And so he was like,
good eating.
and so then we're like, all right, I'm going to take a nap. He was going to take a nap, and so I took a nap too. We get up, and there's these snakes that are like chomping on the fish, and I got traumatized. And my dad thinking it's hilarious. He's like, it's okay. So then another time though, during that same day, I encounter a rattlesnake, and I'm freaking out. My dad was like, all right. So then my dad proceeds to beat this rattlesnake and kill it, because he's not letting a live rattlesnake that's like trying to be around our camp. Kills it in front of me. I'm like sobbing, like I'm so horrified and scarred. And he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, man. And I was just like, I'm so scared. Well, because I was scared for my dad.
Yeah, because if a fucking rattlesnake bites your dad in that environment, he's done. He's cooked.
I think about how my life would turn out if I had to hike myself out to go get help.
You'd be very different and way more strange.
Yeah. I might not even be alive.
Yeah, you'd probably be dead.
I might have killed myself.
Yeah, you would get
I'd
caught.
either have died hiking back or would have killed myself from the trauma.
Your headgear would get caught in like a snare trap or something. You'd still be hanging there.
So that all happens, and we finally finish the trip. We're hiking back, and my dad, we pick up from this like little like pit stop, like little like hut pit stop gas station a Mountain Dew, which I never really drank before. A Mountain Dew and like some Twinkies, a Snicker, like a bunch of junk that was just calories and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it being, this is now me wrapping back to the actual one. I remember it being, and it stuck in my head that it was some of the best. I was like, well, how is this tasting so good? And I was like, I even now to this day, other than Baja Blast, I don't drink normal Mountain Dew. I don't really like the flavor.
I don't either. It's just pure sugar and eventual gas.
Yeah, and so I'm just not into it. But I remember thinking, oh my God, this is the best soda I've ever had. And then having like these Twinkies, and like I was in heaven.
It was like the cigarette after sex of that traumatic experience you had.
Yes, and I remember going, oh my God, this is incredible.
And then your dad was like, hey, there's this new movie out called The Incredibles. You want to go see it?
I go, yes.
Oh,
Elastigirl. I mean, because the same thing, I mean, it definitely has to do with like physical exertion or like mental exertion where food be tasting that good.
yeah.
Because like I did another like 2-day trip with Tyler hiking. On the way back, we went to Cece's Pizza, and I was like, this is the best place ever.
Yep.
And then another time hiking the Appalachian Trail, getting down and just having junk food, and I was like, this is incredible. And
It's got to be like a physical thing, like where you put food in your mouth after all that time, and your body is like, yes.
I mean, it's clearly, so like people talk about like, and scientists, not just random dudes, but it like about how like endorphins are released, and how a lot of the time different things can have the same chemical reaction in your brain, but they're completely different things. So like certain things can be like the same endorphins as having sex can be released by doing another thing.
That's why there's people that eat mattresses and want to fuck roller coasters.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But like the endorphins when like eating can be the like very much just like your brain's like, this is incredible. I don't know why I'm having such a good time during this. This is amazing, and it's just beef jerky, or it's just fucking a Twinkie. You know, it's like all these different things, and it's very weird how our brains work like that. It makes me think that as much as, you know, scientifically, and we're the animal on top right now, about how like simple we are as creatures.
Yeah. But we can explain our simplicity, and that's why we're on top.
I don't know if being able to explain does me any good.
I mean, you can rationalize.
I guess so. I just, there's no utility in it. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like, there's no utility in it.
There's no utility in it that you can see in your current situation. But if you're like, out at night or something, you're like, oh, I'm scared because it's dark. That's survival instinct.
Or that's you just being a pussy.
Maybe. Or maybe there's a fucking rattlesnake that could kill your dad.
That's true. That's true. I just, because in my head I'm like, well, the only thing I'm good for is hanging doors. It's like, because that's utility.
I'm not good for fucking shit.
It's like, can a tiger do that? But I go, but a tiger can like break a
tiger's
gazelle.
breaking this door down minute one.
But tiger can break a gazelle's neck in one bite, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
different strokes.
But yeah, so it's just weird. The CES just happened. That's the big like technology convention that's happening.
Oh yeah, that's the one that Linus always goes to, right?
Yeah, a bunch of people go to. Saw a bunch of, preliminary. I think it's week long. So NVIDIA had a big they have one of the things where it's like a big panel, and they had a huge panel where they unveiled the 50 series.
Oh god.
So, but to preface this, NVIDIA has now put up for sale, and I think it's on auctions, 3 graphics cards that are like important to the history of graphics cards. One of them's NVIDIA's very first graphics card. Very first one. And I think it's like signed. It might be like the first unit, but I don't know if they would actually like.
I don't think it would be like the prototype. I think it would be the first like mass produced.
Yeah, so it might, but it's like signed by like the CEO and like a designer and something like that, and then it's framed. The second one was like the first one with the like the CUDA technology, which is like a big jump in something that we currently use. And then the third one, which they call like the best graphics card ever made, which is the 1080, which is like the first in the RTX line. And that one was made in 2017, which doesn't feel that long ago, even though in 2 years it'll be 10 years ago.
Yeah, but in the span of how fast technology's been advancing,
it's true. So those are the three that are like for sale, but they unveiled the 50 series, and the 5090 is like $2,000.
Jesus.
I don't know any of the in betweens, but what blew people away is the 90 series has that's the highest one, so it goes from 60 to 90. Last generation they didn't have a 60 series, or no, they didn't have, I think it was a 60s or a 70s series, one of the like the lower two, but they normally always have four 60, 70, 80 and 90. 90s have always been a three. It's called a 3 card slot, so it's three wide, so that's why you'll see like 3 fans on it. The 90 now is only 2 fans wide, and it has like way more processing power than last generation. But the biggest thing though is the 5060 is only like $519.
Wow.
So it's gonna crash the market, which means I can pick up like a 4090,
Yeah, a crazy fucking card.
a 4090 or a 4080 for very cheap, which I'm very excited about. Everyone's kind of pissed. I don't know why.
It's just elitism.
Yeah, it is. It is very much elitism, because like, why would you be mad that for cheaper you could get better cards for cheaper? That
They're
makes
like, but
no
I have
sense.
one that I paid $1 billion for, and I don't want you to have one.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. It's wild. So that's huge. And then I've been seeing just a bunch of like, there's one creator that is covering CES that I really like, because he's just going to like the smaller booths and being like, look at this one thing that this, it's like one thing that they make, and they're just coming to CES to show it off, and it's just one very particular thing, but it's very cool. And I
like that.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool. We should be getting another thing technology wise. The stats for the Switch 2 have come out.
Really?
And guess which console it's more powerful than?
I'd say PS4
Pro.
Wow.
It has more processing power than the PS4 Pro.
Well, that is just modern gaming.
But isn't that wild?
That's insane.
I literally today watched a TikTok about that they had side by side everything. It has like on all fronts just better.
Wow.
Processing power, more VRAM, more RAM, and more graphics RAM. Or VRAM is video RAM, so it has like all of it is more, and then the chip is faster. And
that's amazing. I hope they do upscaling for original Switch games then.
I would like that, but I do not believe that Nintendo is a company that is very into backwards compatibility.
Oh, it's already been confirmed. Original Switch games will work on the 2.
Okay, but what I meant to say is they don't port a lot of their older games onto newer consoles.
Not old games.
Yes, old games. There's the whole like NES and N64 ROM emulators.
Well, yeah, but they also Metroid Prime, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, both the Luigi's Mansion games
are what have been remastered.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was for Wii U.
Well, the Switch got Prime. Now they're getting Xenoblade X, Xenoblade 1.
Don't have Wind Waker, or
it's ready. Nintendo has this strategy where they'll finish a game and they'll sit on it for years until they have a hole in their release schedule. So like Pikmin 4, the actual Pikmin 4, not Hey Pikmin, has been done since the Wii U era. And they were just like, all right, well, let's wait until like late in the console cycle until we don't have anything.
Do you think it all has to do with just making sure that their stocks are always like never have a low?
I think so, because when they reveal stuff, that's a big part of it. Like you can always predict when a direct is going to happen, especially for a console reveal, because they'll wait until the end of the fiscal year to do that, and then it'll come out so that they have big like first half sales numbers.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Hate that though.
it does suck, but it's nice that they have some
Remember
level
when
of
Chris
predictability.
Julian thought he was talking to, what was it, the CEO of Nintendo?
Yeah, Reggie and Miyamoto.
Miyamoto. That's the other clip I saw where he's bowing and goes, not he doesn't say what's the hello and
Arigato.
Yeah,
Miyamoto-san.
yeah. It's so funny.
My
And he's
name is Christopher
and
Weston
he's
Chandler.
bowing to him. And he's like, because wasn't they were gonna make? He thought they were gonna make a Sonichu game or movie.
Yeah, and then it evolved into the point where they're like, we're also putting Sonichu and Rosechu in Animal Crossing. And they were like, oh, we left the online feature on, and they wandered off into the ether.
Wild.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the I watched so going back to GDQ, the one we watched right when Lee found out that it was online and he started streaming it was Wind Waker.
That's always a fun one to watch.
This time it wasn't though.
Really?
It was way too quick. It was, I think, 20 minutes.
That's crazy. That's a record, isn't it?
I mean,
Last I heard, it was like
it's-
25.
I think it was around 25. I think people have been getting quicker, but it wasn't he messed up a bunch of times. It wasn't like a run that was close to beating a world record. But I was like, what the fuck? He didn't there's the normal one where you're at the starting but do the thing and you go back and forth and swim and then you go all the way to what's the one with the flying people island?
The one with the volcano where you meet Melly.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, so
remember.
he immediately jumps to that, and then he goes to Windfall, and then he's like, all right, we just got to do one more thing, and then we're going to go to Ganon. And I was like, what? What? No! I want to see... And so that's where I kind of realized that I prefer 100% speed runs, because you get, like, more of the game
Yeah.
instead of just insane breaks that you
We
don't even
watched
get
that Neopets one that was like 10 minutes long because he just dropped below the map and ran underneath everything.
And then how they did it was just like being in an area like triggers a checkpoint, and so then he just was able to go to the final thing, and they're like, "Oh, I guess you finished all the story."
It was the same with that Sonic 06 one that we watched too.
Another one that I watched with Lee was the 2013 Tomb Raider, and that one still very broken. They just like glitch through maps and stuff like that.
I'd like to see somebody do Last of Us. because-
One that I did like a lot though was he tied it for the world record time, so it was a very competitive timing, but it was for 2 players, 1 controller, Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
So each person had a
And
different
a side of a Joy-Con.
yeah, and it was so, and they're like, there's certain things we can't do because there's such precise timing that 2 people can't do it, and it's not viable for a run. And he's like, we're not going to try it for GDQ. Like, we're on a really good time right now, and they tied world record. And I was
Damn.
like, yeah, and it was very impressive. It was really cool. So that one, so far, out of the 3 that I watched, was the best one. Because those, even Breath of the Wild is very fun because a lot of them are just using in-game mechanics, not just breaking the game.
Yeah.
Like, it technically is, but they're like, oh yeah, we'll just...
But Breath of the Wild asks for you to break it at certain points.
Well, it's always like, oh, we're just going to speed up the glider. And so they glide instead of like, oh, I'm going to fall through. It's, I don't know. For some reason, it was more enjoyable for me. And a lot of it was just like, oh, yeah, we just have to collect these 4 items and we can beat Ganon. And so he goes and picks up all the things and then beats, Ganon with like, instead of like breaking the game, they just are really good at the boss fight.
Yeah.
And so they do the thing where they find the point where if they do the swinging thing, it hits 2 different things in one swing, 2 different points of contact. So when you're swinging, it's not just hitting at one point; it's going hitting like 3 different points. So you're getting like maximum damage. Very cool. So
Yeah, I like the skill based ones. As
yeah,
opposed to,
every time I think about GDQ, I go like, what's a game that I think that I could speed run? And I don't know.
I
Because
think
because so many of them have to do with like being insane at the game and being borderline autistic, if not very, and having way too much time. And there's like a Venn diagram that I do not fit into what's needed to be a world record holder or competitive. In
I could never
space.
be a record holder, but I think if I really locked in on a Sonic game, like the Boost Formula ones, I could do it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, because that Let's Play that we did that no one will ever see because it recorded the fucking launcher. We got through that pretty quick. We were on like the last level in like 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because the other thing about those guys is they're like in forums and in a community of other people doing the same thing, and they'll all just share like
Tips
or like a break that happens like that's just been discovered, and so then you like learn along with everybody. Because that is one thing that's cool about those communities is it's not very like you don't hoard a secret.
Yeah, it's all about sharing it so everybody else can get better.
Especially because it's like if you want to be a record holder, you have to stream the game and show the glitch that you found.
Yeah.
And so you can't just like hide it.
I think that's a point of pride for those people though, is finding a new skip and then being able to like show it off.
Yeah, because then
they can
everyone
become a
because
pioneer.
because then what happens is like they'll be talking about the game and then they'll
then your name gets brought up.
yes,
every
and they'll
time.
be like, this glitch, and it's your name glitch, and it's like this person found this 7 months ago, and you just get shouted out constantly. So it is very that is a cool.
You're basically
thing.
doing it for like publicity.
Yeah, that is a very cool thing about that community, which is nice to see gamers in that space because gamers can be so fucking awful
Yeah, I mean, all the videos that we watch are not positive at all.
and so it's very cool to have people come together to work on a common goal to break a game.
Yeah. As
That-
opposed to fighting each other in Melee.
There was one, I think it was from Lara Croft or the Tomb Raider, that a dev donated and was like, hey, like, let's go. So happy to see this.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, I mean, like I think that GDQ is a great organization. They're like, it's always for cancer stuff. So it's like, you can't go wrong with the charity there. And it's also just like one of those things. It's just like they raise so much money, such a good time. And it just,
Yeah, it's just a win all around.
yeah,
for
100%. There's like, I've never heard anything bad about like, again, I've never been there. It also just always lands because that's what I think, like, why are we never there? And it's because it's right after, it's like the first week of January.
Yeah.
And so that's a really hard time to try to do anything after just being on Christmas break.
100%.
And so, but I've never heard anything bad about the convention. It would be
I mean,
interesting.
you don't see videos that are like, hey, GDQ organizers are fucking me over this year.
Yeah,
or
I've
anything
never
like that.
heard anything bad about that. Everyone seems to be pretty respectful. I mean, there are those clips of people that have horrible people in the gallery.
Yeah.
Or just some dickhead that's a dickhead that's a runner. But I actually think that now, because everybody does everything online and most of these speedrunners stream on Twitch, that they get vetted pretty easily.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this person's a clear racist.
Yeah.
This person's an awful person. We're not having them on.
It's crazy how hard it is for those people to hide their racism.
Yeah, no, but I'm it's pretty easy to get vetted in that. They're like, oh yeah, you have a very clear, like, good community of viewers, and your streams are always great. You can be on AGDQ anytime. It's like, so I it's pretty easy now. But before, like, everyone was streaming, it's more like, oh my god, this guy's the best. But and you know, and they're always quiet and locked in their streams, so you can't really tell. But again, like almost all the like the people, the guy who just broke Tetris, the world record, like, he's a 14-year-old, you know, he was streaming all the time. So it's like now any world record is just streamed and has a community of viewers at this point. So
Yeah. That's the nice thing about technology advancing in the way that it has, especially for games. You can play and watch it and talk about things. Because when I was a kid, it was like, oh, I really like the Super Mario RPG games on the fucking Game Boy. Does anybody else play those? Fuck no. Nobody else in my school ever played anything that I ever played. It was like Call of Duty, and that was it.
It was weird going back to California because I thought constantly that anywhere I was at, I was like, I wonder who is in this same place that has been in my life. And like one of the places was I did a lot of like stuff around my mom's house, like hanging pictures or like fixing stuff. And so I was going to the Ace Hardware up the street a lot. There's a guy that I went to high school there, and I like at one point he passed me and I like looked at him and he looked at me looking at him, and I was like, I looked back, and again I was like, I know this guy. I think I went to high school with him. And then finally my mom was talking to one of the workers there, and I go like, I said to my mom, I think I know him. And she was like, oh, you think you know Brandon? And I said, yeah, I think I went to high school with him. She's like, oh, where did you go? And I was like, Maranatha. And she was like, oh, yeah, he went to Maranatha. Oh, now I'm just putting this all out on the internet. But,
yeah, now you doxed Brandon.
Yeah, but and then I went up to him and I was like, hey, man, what's up? And it was really weird because we never hung out, but
yeah,
to be in like a small...
That's how it is running into people from high school.
It's like I still knew most of the people in my class. You know, I still could recognize them even though I didn't hang out with them. It was weird doing that, like thinking about who I'm around all the time there, and you know who could possibly be around me. So
I mean, I'm from here, so everywhere I fucking go.
Yeah,
I ran into somebody at Dollar General last week. I was like, oh, hey, how's it going?
I saw a video. So BBC in like I think it was 2005 because it was
you watching BBC videos?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I put myself in their perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
For the New World Order.
Yeah. So BBC, the British news net, TV, put out a thing. It was like 20 years ago. This is what they put on a thing of like what we think the future in 20 years is going to be like. And then
those things are always fucking crazy.
Well, did you ever read like Popular Science or Popular Mechanics growing up, the magazine? I didn't,
but I studied. I wouldn't say I studied. I fucking saw a class about it when I was in school.
So yeah, Popular Mechanics was a magazine that came out, and it was always like, and it had been really long running, like back into the 70s.
Yeah.
And they would always on the back page of Popular Mechanics, which was one of my favorite things, show you the issue from that month, but like years back. And it wasn't always like lined up. It was like sometimes it was like 20 years back or sometimes 30 years back.
Yeah, like whenever they have a date that corresponds that they can go far enough back.
Yeah, and they were always like, this is what we thought. This is, and all of it would be like, it totally out of Fallout though. Like,
yeah, like the like fucking
nuclear powered cars. Like, oh,
that is what they base the cars off of.
I'm flying from work. I'm flying home from work. And so it was very interesting.
Tinfoil bowler.
Yeah, and so it was very much that though with this BBC thing where they all of a sudden this like talking person like came up and was like, how can I help you today? And they were like, I want you to send a text, and it was essentially it's like what Alexa and the Googles now are for us. But that was weird. But then the other thing was like, all right, I'm gonna get in a taxi. And you know how like the early Doctor Who would like describe the future with very brutalist futures where it's like cars are now just like weird like brutalist bricks of stuff instead of like streamlined. It just got, you know what I mean by brutalist. Yeah. And so it was like, oh, I'm hopping into my autonomous taxi that flies, and it was just literally, it looked like, I'm not even joking you, like a military transport vehicle, like blocky and big with like, and it was like, I'm gonna pick you up, and then it rolled away, and it was very weird. It was very weird and funny what they got wrong about stuff. And they were like, we're gonna have smart glasses, and it was like, it was right about how we're gonna have VR, but the guy put on a pair of Oakleys and he was like, I'm on the internet right now.
I love that.
It was really funny about
I wish that was what VR was. You just put on a pair of fucking pit vipers and sit in your room for 4 hours.
Yeah, while I drink my Monster Energy.
That would be so badass. I would love that so much.
So it was really, it was weird and funny and wild. Kind of what people think is going to be happening. I thought about, so you haven't seen this yet, but the Firefly TV show with Nathan Fillion.
I know it's legendary.
It is. It's very good space cowboy. So but what I like about it is it feels like it lands more on the attitude of cowboy than space. Even though everything is like, oh, this is the future, and so we have flying ships, but a lot of it is like, oh, we go to this place and it's like a rural town, but then they have like fancy drink dispensers, you know?
Yeah.
So it aired more on the feeling of cowboy than space, which was great. But in that though, it was always like the future, like technology from that was all this kind of stuff that was Star Wars vibes, which like instead of like Star Trek where everything's perfect, because the premise of Star Trek is Earth is perfect.
Yeah, the pristine
is a perfect utopia. So that's why we went out to the stars to share the glory of Earth with others. Star Wars is like, nope, we're in the thick of it. Nothing's perfected.
Shit fucking sucks.
Yeah, like that's why we have astrobots, because shit's going like falling apart all the time, and it's and that's very much the feel of Firefly, where it's like the future, but we haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot too, because. But it is interesting. Yeah, just the technology is very weird. I never, like there's certain things that feels like it's aged appropriately, where it's like, as as the years goes by, the technology improves. Like I would say gaming consoles feels very like, yeah, like before, like the form factor in some ways has stayed the same size. Like I would buy a GameCube.
Yeah.
And that's smaller than my Xbox.
Yeah, and the Xbox is just basically a GameCube,
but like
PlayStation,
the size of PlayStations have almost always been the same size.
Not anymore. The PS5 is fucking massive.
Okay, but before,
but
like
the 2 and 3 and 4 are all pretty consistent.
And so, but and it makes sense that graphics get better each time, so that like that feels pretty uniform. A lot I will say like some cell phone stuff feels pretty exponential. Like growing up, nobody having a cell phone, having a cord on the wall, then getting cell phones to now iPhones. That feels pretty.
I have to say, my parents still have a landline at their house, and we've always had a corded phone like in the basement. So if anybody's doing laundry, we can still pick it up. It is a clear purple plastic, like.
I remember seeing that and I go, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember, when I came over to your house, I go, that's pretty cool. Because back then, they would make like any crazy design for those phones just to theme your house.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm really into ducks.
This one's
duck phone? Done.
This one's Garfield. This one's Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, you could do anything back in the day. But like, I mean, because even back then, remember like, I didn't do it much because it was a hassle, but like all the things that you could like mail in for stuff, like every DVD, every game, every cereal box was like, mail it in for this.
I got some fucking sea monkeys that way.
Really?
Yeah. Worst thing of all time.
I think I only did it once because it just was a chore.
Yeah, who's trying to mail anything ever?
Yeah, but I remember like 5 weeks later, boom, I got something and I was like, oh, I completely forgot. I'm over this, but this is neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like a Chia Pet or something dumb. I mean, because like infomercials were all the craze. Buy this on TV, call now, 3 easy payments.
Fucking Zoo Books.
Yes. All those things that they tried to, you'd see commercials for that you were like, the only one, I mean, because as a kid, I got into skating pretty early. Skateboarding, and then I mean there wasn't much that on TV that really got me interested. I liked what's the ones like Air Hogs. I liked Air Hogs a lot. Or the ones where you step on the rocket and it shoots up with the thing. But Air Hogs were really cool because you would get like a bike pump and you'd pump it up and then it would make the sound.
Yeah,
love that.
I got some fucking moon shoes.
Oh yeah,
blew my mind. I love those.
Yeah, I used to have a pogo stick, which is very like there's things that like we never see anymore that felt very normal as a kid.
Yeah, and now they're just wiped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, that's true. It's really interesting. Like razors. Remember when Razor came out? Not the phone,
The scooter.
the scooter. Were like countrywide takeover.
Yeah, I had a number of razors. I fucking loved those things.
The best. Even though I ended up just again skateboarding around, razors were awesome.
Yeah,
razors were like easy.
I loved those things.
I had a red razor because I was into red heavily as a kid. Loved the Red Ranger. Loved the Red Bionicle.
Yeah.
All of it. Bionicles. Holy shit, that's a whole nother.
I was looking through. You got me those comic books, so
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I need to bring these to the house so I can organize everything. I don't know where any of my Spider-Man stuff is by date,
Yeah.
so I've been looking at those. But I was looking through one comic box that I just put a bunch of stuff in, and there was a fucking Bionicle in there, the golden one, like fully completed with his little weapon and everything, and the can.
The can ones.
Yeah.
My favorite generation though of Bionicle were the ones that folded up into the balls.
Oh yeah, those were fire.
Those were the best generation.
Were those the ones that kind of looked like xenomorphs? They had like the long head.
Yeah, and they would go like this.
Yeah.
The head would articulate.
That
as
was
they
that
would say. That was the best generation.
That
I
was
think.
also, I think, when they started using the All American Rejects for their commercials.
Maybe because before that there was remember the McDonald's line of the ones
Yeah, the small ones.
that would throw the discs
And you had to squeeze their hands.
Yeah, and you could build a pyramid of them because they would stack diagonally. Yeah, love that. And then because then before that was just the normal run of Bionicles where it was just like all the different
Just the guys in the cans.
the Tau, right?
Yeah. The
No, Oas.
Matoa, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Because
And
they
then
were
you had all
from
the
Metro
different
Nui.
Yeah, Metro Nui, and it was just like all the elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the classic one.
And then eventually they were like, earth and sand are two distinct elements.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, dude.
yeah. And there was jungle,
Yeah. Vague jungle.
vague jungle. There was rock,
Water.
yeah,
Rock. Fire.
ice.
Ice. Which, ice and water, same shit.
Yeah,
If
well,
you do
one's-
ice stuff, you could do water stuff.
One's on the beach and the other ones are on.
Yeah, one
hitting the
surfs and
slopes.
one snowboards.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got to have that.
Yeah,
And one surfs on fucking lava.
yeah, that's right. Red was the coolest. But
They-
that was also the time in elementary school where we would play Bionicles in the playground, not with Bionicles.
You would be the Bionicles.
Thank you.
From the movies.
Thank you. Yes, and we would do the thing where it's like, well, my lava sword cuts through your jungle sword, and he goes, well, and then somebody would go, well, I have a shield that blocks lava swords. So I go,
It's like, no, you fucking don't. I have that toy. He has no shield. He's like, but I do.
yeah, and he's like,
And it's just an unwinnable
well,
situation.
I have a power up that powers up my sword to cut through your shield against normal lava swords.
Yeah, it's just
back-
one-upping each other back and forth. And you're just standing on the basketball court,
Yeah.
stanced up.
Yeah, so interesting. I want to tell a quick story from my childhood that got brought up again. So, I mean, I'll put them all on blast right now. You ready for this?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, at the end, I went to a private school. I won't say the name, but I went to a private school. I'm not
like-
about to put it all
Not
on
like
blast.
you didn't say it earlier.
That was high school. That was
Oh.
my high school. That's a little bit safer. This one's a very small private school, but very small, and it was from like
Hogwarts.
K through Hogwarts. Yes, I'm a wizard. K through 6, which was very unusual because a lot of the schools would go up to middle school because then you'd go to high school.
Yeah.
So-
That's usually, I mean, here, that's how they do it too.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much.
So this was to 6th grade, and like all these parents, had all their kids were, most of them were K through 6. So you've been around these people like
Yeah,
your whole
everybody.
life practically, and so at the very end, there was like a going away party, a graduation party for the kids, and in it there was like 3 students. It was right when the Wicked musical like came out.
I remember those days.
And one of the kids were like 3 of these girls were really into it, and so they sang a song from it, and it was like, oh wow, and it was like the song that was like I have been changed for good or something like that. And then all the parents are like kind of up on the patio while the kids are in the yard, and the parents, there was booze and everything like that. And so the parents were kind of getting crunk. So here's the big on blast. So Marilyn Loubier's
Damn, full name.
yeah, first and last mother, who was a very good singer. And I don't remember this, but my mom was like, she was actually like a very good singer. After that, she's like grabs the microphone and she goes, I'd like to sing a song for my beautiful daughter. And it was like her version of like what's the like, here are a few of my favorite things song, like, you know, that song.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know the title, but I know exactly what you're talking
you know,
about.
like, here are a few of my, you know, yeah. Anyways, that song, I think it was that song, but it was like a play on that, and it was about like all the wonderful things about her daughter. And so she sits down on this bench in the yard, and she like strikes a pose that's like very paint me like your French girls, like, all right, I'm gonna sing for my beautiful, wonderful daughter.
Like laying across a piano type shit.
Yes, exactly those vibes. So she starts to sing, and like my mom, this is the like the thing that I didn't really get her like experience, you know, what was going through her mind, but we talked about it over Christmas. She and my dad and everybody are like, what is happening? Like, I can't believe this happened. And all the kids are like, oh, she's just singing to her daughter. Oh, this is, I would hate it if my parent did this. So she finishes the song, and the best part though, and she was getting trashed. The best part is then the one of the cool kids, because he had cool parents that didn't give a fuck about anything. I mean, this is Peter.
It's so cool that your parents don't give a fuck about
Peter,
you.
he would like listen to Green Day, and he got us all into Green Day, and all the parents were like, oh, that's kind of racy kind of songs that they have. And they were like, we don't fucking care. And so Peter's dad, Bruce, he was like, he grabbed the microphone after he goes, I'd like to sing a song for my wife. And he proceeds to sing the first line of, and so he says, she's a brick house, and it kills.
I love that.
Kills. Everyone's cracking up.
I bet that lady that just sang was pissed.
Yeah, and it kills. I like to sing a song for my wife. She's a, anyway. And so that whole happened. It kills. After that though, are like one of the the TAs for our 6th grade class. His name was Mr. Rashid, who I thought was everyone thought he was really cool. To preface this, hold on. He was African American, but he was working at a private school, Christian school in Pasadena. To preface this, and I thought he was very cool. When I grew out of my my child painted room, I was like, hey, would you help me graffiti my room? And he was like, yes, let's do it. He came over and we just graffitied my room, and he brought us a bunch of stencils, and there was like a lot of the Mario mushrooms, like the 1-Up mushrooms, and we did.
That's dope.
It was dope. I was very into it. My parents were like, oh, you can do whatever you want, it's your room. and so Mr. Rashid, he's getting trashed as well, and he gets on the microphone and he's like, I love you all so much, you know, I would take a bullet. like in what way are these like, we're not going to school in Compton.
Yeah.
And he goes, I would take a bullet for you. And I remember all of us going like, whoa.
I mean, that he was ahead of his time. Now that's a required thing.
That's true. That's true. That is true. But we were all like, "Whoa, Mr. Rashid, that's kind of intense." Like, I appreciate it. I don't think we just thought you were as the cool teacher's assistant. We didn't.
No, dude, he sent his consciousness back in time after he saw everybody die in a school shooting.
That's true. And so that happened all at the going away party. But I just wanted to bring that up because I wanted you to know that story. And
I love it.
yeah. There was a bunch of other weird stuff where I had like a childhood best friend in elementary school, and we have so many pictures with him. And the whole time we were going through these photos, we were like, all right, we're just gonna throw away, like, I don't need a picture with CJ, you know, I don't give a shit about him. So we're throwing away all these pictures, and we go to Christmas Eve service at this church, this random church that my mom was like, it's a really pretty church. Like, I I went there last year. Let's just go. It's not one that she routinely goes to. And so we go there. As we're leaving, my mom goes, Matt, CJ's like, there's CJ. And so I go up to him and I was like, hey man, like I've been seeing a lot of photos of us together. And he was like, oh, hey. It took his mom a full minute to recognize who I was. To be fair, I have a beard and look very different.
Yeah, you're not a gay little twink anymore.
That's right. And she was like, "Oh my God, Matt!" And we talked. But here's another thing. I'll put somebody on. I'm not gonna. Anytime I said anything, he was like, "Oh my God, that's the most amazing thing I've heard. I'm so happy for you." And I was like, "Bro, just cut the crap," because I was like. He's like, where are you living? I'm in Tennessee. That's incredible. I'm so happy for you.
That's the most LA shit I've ever heard.
And I was like, dude, just say like, that's cool. Just say that's cool instead of like, oh my God, I'm filled with such enormous amounts of joy. It's overflowing. I don't think I can bear. And then I like brought up that I like broke my rib recently at work. And he was like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. I can't believe that. Are you okay? I don't know if I'm going to sleep well tonight if I don't know you're okay now. Like, I was like, dude, calm down. And then I was like, so what are you doing? He's like, I'm in solar. And then I was like, that's cool. And it was just really weird, like, looking at all these pictures. And I was like, I don't care about this guy.
And you see him the same day.
I was like, wow. Very weird, because that leads into the story of like I could be at anywhere and see somebody that was in my childhood.
Yeah, I've had moments like that where it's like, oh, I've got to go to Huff's, like the gas station over in like between here and my house. And every time I go over there, I feel like I'm gonna see Tyler today, or I'm gonna see Tristan today, and then I'll stop in at that gas station, and whoever I thought about is always fucking there. I'm like, I know I'd see you today. I don't know how.
Yeah,
great to see you.
So. Well, I gotta put the
chicken on the thing.
Thanks for watching. Thanks to our sponsor W. Use code Take It Sleazy, all one word, at checkout for 10% off your order. If you're looking to get some jitterless energy without any artificial colors, made from the coffee bean,
also, rest in peace, Luke Blackwood.
Yeah,
we've definitely left him in the cold long enough.
Just like those people in Houston, he'll probably die.
Yeah, he'll die because he's too stupid to do anything for himself. Take it sleazy.